Namaste, everyone. So this session is about portrayal of Hindu Dharma and traditional societies in the world. I'll first call the speakers on stage. Can I call Professor Nitin Tripathi ji, Dr. Vedika Mati Hurdoyal-Chekhori ji, Dr. Abhaya Asthana ji, Shri Muneet Dhiman ji. So, portrayal of Hindu Dharma and traditional societies in the world. So, how it is portrayed? So, this is not new to us. Centuries and centuries, it's been portrayed negatively by the media. And media plays a very important role. You know, when they talk about whether the incidences, processes, or our values, media plays a very important role in shaping the perception. Most of the time, it's not because of the ignorance of the media. There is a political influence behind. Because of the political influence and the interference, the media projects our Dharma in a negative way. And not just that, how many times we have heard, but not just in Bharat, even outside Bharat, we have heard about caste discrimination. Whenever we talk about Hindu Dharma, they said, oh, in Hindus, they talk about caste discrimination. Even though Hindus individually or through the organization, as a community and society, we keep on saying caste is alien to us, caste is not Hindu. We had Jati system, we had Varna system, but we didn't have caste system. But still, we listen to so many eminent speakers about the narratives they set and then delivered. And the businesses and the private sectors bringing out doormats, toilet seats with our deities. And not last, the important one, the very, very important sector is academic world. How the textbooks have been printed with misinterpretation. I'm sure Abhaya Asthana ji should be able to share his experience with the Californian textbooks. And the universities and then funded projects and research projects with anti-India, anti-Hindu sponsors. So this is a couple of examples from Australia. The previous slide, please. This one, yeah. So the first slide on your left, this is during COVID time. A lot of Indians came to India. They were not able to come back to Australia. They were stuck. Husbands were stuck in India, Australia, and then family came here for holidays. They couldn't come back to Australia. So this is what was portrayed in the newspaper. So I can understand on one side, they are concerned about Indians who are stuck here, away from the family, they are not able to come back to Australia. But this is what is Ganesha to do with that? Why would they depict this in the newspaper? The one on the right side, the timekeeper side, the timekeeping is applicable even to the chairperson, so I need to be mindful of the time as well. So the one on the right side, there was an advertisement from the meat producing company. So Bhagavan Ganesha is sitting with other leaders from different faith and ideologies, eating meat and drinking wine. So it was a video, and in that video, they carefully, cleverly said, Muhammad is not here. Because the people who have prepared the video, the company, they know definitely for sure, they can't bring in certain faith. If they bring in certain faith into such advertisements, they know what will happen. So they know for sure they can ridicule Hindu deities, they can ridicule Hindus, Hindu values and practices, because we as a Hindus won't respond or retaliate or fight with them. So next slide, please. And the left one is, there is a Greens MP standing there, political. So we Hindus, we have a preference to vote. Whatever we practice, we have a preference to vote for certain parties. Second preference, we always give it to Greens, who look after the environment. For it, through our culture and values, we look after our environment, nature, rivers, and forests. So we think Greens party will work for such things. So, but they were against Hindus. And the one on the right, I already mentioned about the businesses. Why would they put Ganesha on the toilet seat? Why would they print goddess Lakshmi and other deities on the floor mat, bikinis? So who are we? Why are they portraying our culture and tradition like this? So when they do it like this, what happens to our emotions? How we feel, how it hurts, and how the next generation youth and children feel about it, especially children growing away from Bharat. When the parents doesn't know anything about our culture and tradition. So in the previous talk, Anandji mentioned so many names. We didn't even know even one person who fought for our freedom. So is it our mistake not bringing our true values and facts about our Dharma to our next generation? Or is it our attitude? Every time anything happens like this, we as a Hindus, we are very busy in working, earning money, paying mortgage and our own household things, and say, oh, Hinduism will survive, Hindu Dharma will take care of itself. We don't have to do anything. It's been surviving for thousands and thousands of years. Is that attitude prevents us to react to all these things? So, end of this session, we'll have a question and answer session, and I would prefer if there are any youth in this room to ask questions and come up with ideas how we are going to face all this. Is there any actionable points which we are going to conclude with this? There is no point in just talking about this is happening. We all know this is happening. This is going to happen. So what are we going to do? There are so many important talks happening in different conferences here. Whether we know, we are aware, are we networking with other issues happening, presented here? So these are the things we can discuss during question and answer session. Before I take much of your time, lucky, I think I finished on time. So I can introduce our first speaker, Professor Nitin Tripathi ji. Professor Nitin Tripathi ji is a professor of geoinformatics. He's a director, SDP, and the chairman of Academic Senate. He is editor-in-chief of International Journal of Geoinformatics. He is the author of 3 books, 13 book chapters, and more than 225 research papers. He is a recipient of DAE Young Scientist Award, AICTE Care Award, and Osaka City University Distinguished Researcher Award and Distinguished Alumni Award, NIT Warangal, Navigator Award from Royal Thai Survey Department. He has carried out sponsored projects from US Air Force, European Union, UNEP, SID Sweden, and Government of Bharat. Professor Nitin Tripathi ji.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today we had a very stormy session, the last one, very thought-provoking and very good, interaction session was also there. Today I'm going to talk, I'm very happy that I got a chance to speak on portrayal of East Asian societies in English media and academia. Though I'm a professor of a different subject of geographic information system, but I think we are all human beings and we are having a community, a society. And we are, right now everybody knows that there is a war going on in Ukraine, in Israel, Philippines. That is visible war. But another war is going on since the Second World War. And what is that war? I'm going to tell you today. We all know that human beings are developing, and human development and growth transforms into community and later to the societal growth. It is closely linked with value system based on culture, dharma, and education. If you disturb any of these, the human growth will not happen in the right way. Colonization during the 17th century started. They wanted to occupy the world, capture the regions and the wealth. They used various means. They wanted to capture us, so they wanted to distort and destroy us. Lord Macaulay, you know what he's told in India. Same thing was happening all around the world. Missionaries were playing their role. Once they succeed a little bit, then merchants come. They spread their faith, religious activities. If they do not succeed 100%, then military enforcement was there. So this was the way of colonization. The problem of misrepresentation by Western media is not just about Hindus, just not about Bharat. It also true for all traditional societies, and the Western's urge to civilize the whole world the way they are. So they wanted to make the whole world on their pattern. Now, my task is to see East Asian. In East Asia, what happened? So I'm taking 3 countries now. One is Japan, Korea, and Sri Lanka. In Japan, we know that religion, Japan is a very close-knit society. They have their own culture. But what is happening in Japan now? What is the real fact? Buddhism went from India to China to Korea and to Japan, and later on, it got disintegrated because of Western media and the narratives floated by them. So slowly, Buddhism and Confucianism and then Shinto. Shinto is the main religion of Japan, which is based on purity, harmony, respect of nature, family respect, and subordination of the individual before the group. Very well-disciplined society, very closely knit to the culture and nature. And they have many shrines. Kami is the god there, and Kami has many rupas, roop. Now I will tell about, next slide, about the religions in Japan. Out of 216 million people there, 54% are Shinto, as per the record. 40% are Buddhism. Christianity only around 0.7%, and other religions are 4.7%. But what the reality is, in the survey that is published, and it is when people were asked, what religions do you feel you belong to? What they follow? 53% said none. Buddhism, 35%. Shinto, only 11%. So their thoughts have been changed now. From 54%, only 11% feel that they are Shinto. Christianity, 10.6%, where it is recorded, in official record, 0.7%, but they are following Christianity. Then when question was asked, are you religious? 54%, 55% said no, we are not religious. Yes, only 16%. Don't know, 29%. It means as well as telling no. So when it is like this, like just 85% know that they belong to no religion, what a country is now. Third is how important is religion to your daily life. Only 2.8% say very important. Important, 9%. Little important, 37%. So they are confused. Not important, 50%. They say religion is not important to my daily life. Then fourth is very astonishing. According to which tradition did you or do you want to get married, wedding? They want to get married like a Christianity tradition, 46%. Shinto, 18%. Buddhist, 8.5%. And nun, 42.8%. So they are totally confused what rituals they should have for their marriage. So they follow Christian wedding ceremony because it is very well shown in the media. Fifth, how often do you visit shrines, temples, Shinto shrines, etc., or churches? 2.8% say once in a week. 3% say, 2.8 say more than a week. More than once in a week. 3.3% say once in a week. Few times per year, 32%. Once in a year, 33%. Less than once in a year, 20.3%. Never 8%. So they are not paying much attention to go to the shrines now. They are not following religion, majority of them. Next slide, please. So why it is happening? Because after World War II, there was a lot of Western media guiding them and confusing them that you should get civilized, you should follow the Western culture, etc. And now what is happening, just see. Japan's modern myth, ideology of hard work and sacrifice of tomorrow, has been challenged by the Shinshin Jinryu, that is new human beings. Young generation think that they have forgotten the Second World War, they have forgotten that how their grandpa lived. Now they think that it is a comfortable life, we want to lead a comfortable life, modern life, and we want to enjoy the world. That is Shinshin Jinryu, and that is how they are dressing now. Earlier they were dressing in a very traditional cloth. Now you see the hairstyle, their dresses. And another myth is the myth of harmonious trust society, which was about the Confucius trust society, which was spread in the complete Japan. And there was a peace, there was a unity. Now that is totally getting disturbed and challenged. So trust society is getting eroded. Next slide, please. When I go through the various newspapers, I will start from the 1944, when the church guided the media that Shinto is not a religion, you can bomb it. And that is well published into the thing. So media, Western media told, you can bomb Shinto shrines, they are not religion, they are just local myth or something like that. But it was a religion, it was making the societal fabric strong. New York Times in 2001 told, Japan has little time for its old-time religion. So they are reporting and telling the people that now Japanese don't care for their religion. They are propagating it. First, they attracted them to the Western way of living, and they got them confused. Now they are propagating it that Japanese have no time for their religion now. Next slide, please. And now another alarming thing is the media is also pressurizing that Japan should follow the G7 countries and make the gay rights official, same-sex marriage official. And Prime Minister is defending everywhere. Next slide, please. And there are another thing, you may be knowing that games are converting the people. In Japan also, there is a manga game by the Christian newspapers. They are attracting the youth to play this game and get converted into the Christianity or get motivated into the Christian religious players or gods, you can say. Next slide, please. And even church in Japan now, they are a little bit disappointed. Earlier, they converted them to Christianity. Now they are telling Japanese are not serious about their religion. So first they make them not serious about their religion, Shinto, etc. And now Japanese also don't pay much attention to go to church also. So they are complaining. Next slide, please. Korea, I think time is very less, so I will skip this. I will go to my concluding slide, please. Let us go to the conclusion. Next slide, yeah. Yeah, so similar things are there from Korea and Sri Lanka, which is very, very alarming. I'll say that a secret war is going on by the media. And conclusion is Western media, newspaper, academic journals, and social media indulges in campaign to misrepresent the cultural values and religious beliefs. I think all of us agree that. Narratives, local cultures are inferior and need transformation to the Western cultures in the name of modernity. Institutionalized support to carry out these missions. There are missions which are funding this, and it is not hidden anymore now. Pressures to allow gay right and same-sex marriage in Japan, which is very alarming, by Western media and follow other G7 countries, causing serious cultural degradation and confusion among youths. Serious damage to social and cultural fabric of East Asian and South Asian nations. So these are my conclusion from my talk. And I will say that this world is moving towards democracy. There are 4 pillars. One is judiciary, legislature, executive, judiciary, and then media. Legislature makes law, judiciary implements that, executive implements that under the guidance of judiciary. But what about media? I think this panel, this session should come out with some recommendation how the media should be more responsible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitin ji, for bringing up the status of traditional societies all over the world. Our next speaker is Dr. Vedika Mati ji. Dr. Vedika ji is a Mauritian national, completed her higher education in Bharat. She is committed to promoting Bharatiya philosophy and Indological studies in Mauritius and Africa through teaching and learning, collaborative research, and outreach programs. She is an associate professor and head of the Department of Philosophy of the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, the apex higher education institution in the region promoting Bharatiya culture and tradition, languages, and education as a tribute to the Mahatma Gandhi. Apart from academic endeavors, she is engaged at the socio-cultural level in popularizing Bharatiya ethos and various values for cultural sustenance among the Indo-Mauritians and for the betterment of Mauritian community in general. Dr. Vedika ji. Her topic today is how are Hindus portrayed in Mauritian and East African textbooks? Who are influencing such portrayal?
Thank you, Manuji. Namaste to everyone. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Nachiketa ji for giving me this opportunity. The topic of my discussion today is influences on portrayal of Hindus in Mauritian and East African textbook. I shall be focusing mainly on the Mauritian experiments as far as the content and the syllabus is concerned. Thank you. So as you can see on your right, it is the map of Mauritius. Mauritius, if you see on the left on the global map, it is represented as a very small dot situated in the Indian Ocean and off the East African coast. It has a very strategic position. Is it okay now? Yes. Yes, I'm saying that it has a very strategic position, being in the African region and also very close to the Francophone, French-speaking countries like Reunion and Seychelles. And for these reasons, it is positioning itself as a knowledge hub. Allow me to give you a brief overview of the Hindu diaspora in Mauritius and East Africa. Next slide, please. Next. Maybe next one. We'll skip some of the... Okay. It's okay, I'll manage from here. Yes.
You can use that so that if you want to turn.
Sure. Yes. So a brief overview of the Hindu diaspora in Mauritius and East Africa. In Mauritius, Hindus make up about 48.5%. According to the last census carried out in 2011, that was the record, and we can already note that there is a decline in the demography. We have the first wave of indentured laborers coming to Mauritius in the year 1835. Like Fiji, Trinidad, and Tobago, Mauritius also shares a Girmitia history. Initially, Mauritius was inhabited and was discovered by the Portuguese. Later on, it was colonized by the French. After the French were defeated by the Britishers, Mauritius got its independence in 1968. So this is the history about the colonization in Mauritius. I'd like to add that Mauritius has now diversified from a monocrop economy to financial services. Tourism is main. As such, Mauritius is celebrated as for its natural beauty, cultural diversity, and booming economy. Thirdly, next point would be that Mauritius plays play a very important role in the socio-cultural development and economic development of the country. You're able to find out this slide on the East Africa? Yes. As far as East Africa is concerned, there the Hindu population is about 1%, and we have traders arrived in East Africa in the 1st century AD. We had the first wave of immigrants in around the early 19th century. The immigrants over there made significant contribution to the African economy that is in the trade sector. Now, the question arises as to why it is important to examine the influences of the portrayal of Hindu Dharma. Is it at all important? When we are drafting a syllabus, curriculum, there are many things that we are considering. The aims, the objectives, the pedagogical approaches, the methodologies of teaching. And along with it, what is important as well is the content. And especially in a country that has a colonized history, this is very important. Therefore, there are a few reasons that I would highlight as to why examining the influences of portrayals of Hindus and Hindu Dharma in the syllabus is very imperative. So first of all, the reason is for accuracy and fairness. Hailing from a colonized history, we have the scope of being jeopardized. We have also noted the misinterpretation that exists in some of the syllabus. Let me tell you that Hindu Dharma is taught in subjects like, especially in languages such as Hindi, Telugu, Marathi, and a subject called Hinduism. Yesterday, Professor Nachiketa spoke about the declaration where he cleared the terms, the terminologies of Hindu Dharma, Hinduism, and Hindutva. And that is one of the takeaways that I'm bringing to Mauritius, because we have a subject over there called Hinduism. Students from students of the secondary school aged 13 to 18 are studying this subject. And since the board of this examination is from Cambridge, we already note that the perspectives given in there, approaches adopted in there, are Eurocentric. So this would be one thing that we shall be addressing in Mauritius. Probably we will need the help of WHC for the execution. So to avoid misinterpretation, for instance, the deities in the syllabus are represented as vindicative and cruel. The Hindu rituals are represented as barbaric and meaningless. Now this has a very negative impact on our youth, and therefore this has to be addressed. What we are also proposing, thinking, is that instead of the reference books or the textbooks, instead of having authors who have a Eurocentric perspective, they have to be written, drafted by natives. People who have less understanding of the content should not be allowed to form panel in the curriculum development. Secondly, we have the importance of promoting cultural heritage. As a fourth generation Hindu Mauritian, it is very important to preserve our cultural identity, because that gives us a sense of belonging, a sense of solidarity, and a sense of oneness. Anchored to one's root is very important to prosper higher, be it in the social field, educational field, or economic field. At the same time, it allows us and empowers us to strengthen and to rather transmit the cultural heritage to the younger generation. Thirdly, we have Mauritius is a multicultural country, democratic country, multilingual and multi-religious. Therefore, the element of interculturality has to be respected. And since we're speaking about education, Mauritius has an Education Act which is secular. So part of the responsibility which the government has is being catered for, but there is scope for other entries as well, which I'll be discussing in a moment. Therefore, then I would add the next element, empowering the Hindu community. Mauritius, it is very important for a small country like Mauritius to empower the Hindus over there. I would say कि वहाँ पर हमारा मॉरिशस के जन्मभूमि में प्रोफेसर वासुदेव सुंदयाल जैसे पुत्र का जन्म हुआ, जिन्होंने मॉरिशस में जन आंदोलन किया. That is, he became a Hindu missionary of that time, 19th century, mid-19th century. And he became a pracharak. He went on preaching, teaching the ethos of Vedas and Upanishads. The cleavage between the Mauritian Sanatanis and the Mauritian Arya Samajis was deepening, and he was the one to bring them under the same umbrella. It is his legacy that we in Hindu Mauritians are living today, and we also got the right for this. Thank you. I'll conclude. Coming to the efforts, I have 1 minute, yes. So what are the efforts that are required now? As I mentioned, since we talk about content development, textbook, curriculum, etc., it is guided by a policy, government educational policy. So as far as formal education is concerned, we don't have much leeway. But we have to promote our culture, our ethos, and values. And for that matter, formal and informal training is being given. I seize this opportunity to invite institutions, organizations who would be interested in setting up or coming up with ideas like MOAs and MOUs with the existing institutions like the Mahatma Gandhi Institute in Mauritius, who is an apex institution promoting Indian culture, Indian values, and Indian languages, so that we can reach out to all sectors, especially the youth. And that would be all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vedika ji. That was very informative. Our next speaker is Dr. Abhaya Asthana ji. He will be talking to us on portrayal of Hindu Dharma in USA. What needs to be done? That will be really interesting, Abhaya Asthana ji. Abhaya Asthana ji is a fellow at Nokia Bell Labs, directing research in cognitive, self-reliable networks of the future. Networks that continuously learn on their own and heal themselves. Earlier, he led the design of VLSI processor at Intel. He got his bachelor's degree in electronic engineering from IIT Kanpur, where he went back to teach from 1983 to 1985. Outside of science and technology, his passion is to learn about Hindu Dharma and history, practice it, and pass it on to the children. That is wonderful, Abhaya. His mission is to help Hindus living in America remain Hindus, and through their values, contribute to the richness of their adopted land. He is a chairman and past president of World Hindu Council of America, that is VHP America. He was the coordinator of World Hindu Congress 2018 in Chicago, USA. Dr. Abhaya Asthana ji.
Namaste. Is this better? Good. So, first of all, I would like to thank the organizers and especially Nachiketa for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you on this subject. And next slide. So, according to the latest data, over 4 million Hindus live in the United States, with thousands more added each year. They carry with them rich histories and cultures that interplay with the fabric of the diaspora and the adopted land. So portrayal of Hindu Dharma in USA is positive on one side, but quite negative and ugly on the other. The footprints of Hindu philosophy in America are subtle and have existed for over 2 centuries. Today, decidedly, there is a growing positive undercurrent and respect and support for Hindu Dharma. But having said that, Hindu Dharma remains poorly understood in America, and there is prejudice against it in the public square. The Americans at large are influenced by the portrayal of Hindu Dharma by the mainstream media, by public officials, and by their own community and evangelical leaders. The media and academia not only continue to ignore the Hindu community, but perpetuate long-held stereotypes, misrepresentations, and misappropriations. Lastly, the truly motivated anti-Hindu agents, including Christian Dalits, Islamists, and leftist liberals, unsparingly spew hatred and venom on the Hindu people and their traditions. Some of this is quite overt and violent. Some of it is cloaked and silent. All along, the majority American population remains indifferent, ignorant, ill-informed, and unaware. So give you, next slide please. I don't expect you to read this, but to give you a little background, these racist attacks have existed since the 20th century, early 20th century. Hindus and Sikhs were driven out of Washington state as early as 1907. Laws were enacted to curtail the immigration of non-Christians. Later, laws were changed out of compulsion to allow immigration of only 100 per year. Only in 1965, America allowed immigration based on preference instead of religion. But attacks continue, despite all good things that Hindus have brought with them. Earlier, it was because of ignorance, and today, it is motivated because of fear, jealousy, and hatred. Next, please. The impact of Hindu Dharma on America, the extent and scale of the impact, the nature of the impact, and the adaptations that took place are remarkable. The dharmic traditions are silently transforming USA. The adaptability of the Dharma has played an important role in its sustenance. The advent of yoga, kirtan, and the change in demographics, with the Hindus taking visible, powerful roles in America, increased the momentum and breadth of how Hindu precepts and customs expanded their reach in the USA. There has been migration of ideas from Hindu philosophy into the mainstream literature, lifestyle, and films like Star Wars, Matrix, and Avatar. The exponential rise of accessibility to teachers with YouTube and Facebook, TV channels, Zoom, and online live platforms has increased the reach many folds. The much acclaimed article by Lisa Miller, "We Are All Hindus Now," highlighted the reality that Americans are slowly becoming more like Hindus in their thinking. Spiritual but not religious, I think he was mentioning that earlier, is a trend in the youth today. Increasing awareness and practice of yoga, meditation, vegetarianism, holistic living, reincarnation, and cremation is a testimony to this. Celebration of festivals such as Holi, Deepavali, Garbha, Bhangra are in vogue across the college campuses. The Hindu temples and ashrams, swamis, gurus have played a very crucial role in this process. While the temples served as live architectural marvels, the ashrams became center of learning and self-discovery, a place where teachers who have answers. Art of Living, Isha Foundation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Amma, Osho, Hinduism Today, and ISKCON are just a few examples. Most of the Hindu family, the Hindu family is very important. The Hindu family continues to be an example of aspirations, values, and stability. Alternative medicine, technology industry, businesses, movies, study of consciousness, mind sciences, quantum physics, relativity, cosmology, and practices and principles in the Gita. They are all examples of the impact of Hindu Dharma in America. Next slide, please. So, Hindu phobia is an exaggerated, inexplicable, illogical fear of the Hindu that is relentlessly portrayed by the academia and the media as an existential threat to others. What could possibly be the source of fearing the Hindus in USA, when mostly they are well educated, serve as doctors, engineers, scientists, technologists, entrepreneurs, business persons, teachers, and professors? In reality, the fear is not of the person Hindu, but of Hindu Dharma itself. The core thoughts, values, traditions, the life view that drive the Hindu to aspire and excel. Therefore, it is the philosophical core of the Hindu civilization that needs to be mocked, stereotyped, caricatured, and devalued. Some do it in ignorance, and some out of deliberate arrogance. The departments of study of ancient Bharat, Indology, and South Asian studies in the West are the last bastions of colonialism today. They, along with media and the evangelists, are the source of all misconceptions, misrepresentation, and the caste, cow, karma portrayals in the school textbooks and the mass-produced hate-mongering literature. The popularity of yoga and meditation into a deep-rooted aversion. So, skyrocketed to a multi-billion-dollar industry. But as yoga became the mainstream in American culture, its Hindu roots have been ignored and delinked. Next slide, please. So in the extreme, the fear morphs into a deep-rooted aversion, repulsion, or hatred towards Hindu and Hindu Dharma. The hatred turns into microaggressions, racist slurs, destruction, and desecration of Hindu sacred spaces. Targeted violence towards Hindu people, community institutions, and organizations. The anti-Hindu rhetoric reduces Hindu Dharma to a rigid, oppressive, and regressive tradition. Because of these repeated attacks, many Hindus become embarrassed, ashamed of their Hindu heritage. Many feel pressured to distance themselves from their heritage, even actively participate in denigrating and devaluing Hindu Dharma. Next slide, and this is the last slide. So, what needs to be done? In summary, the Hindu Dharma remains poorly understood in America, public square. Hindus continue to face xenophobic prejudice from their fellow Americans, and here are 4 strategic steps we can take to address this problem. Create a sustainable, coordinated, well-funded ecosystem consisting of Bollywood filmmakers, social media experts, writers, academicians, media experts, and policymakers. 2, increase the presence, relevance, and influence of the Hindu community through philanthropy, outreach, integration, and generating goodwill. Be vigilant, educate, and raise awareness through a team of Hindu ambassadors. Identify, call out, and legislate against the key players and stakeholders who institutionalize and perpetuate Hindu hatred. And 4th, importantly, fix the problem at source in Bharat. The educational system, the legal system, and the social system in Bharat today. So this is a longitudinal, generational effort. We must balance our gaze between inward focus and outward focus. Only we, the ordinary Hindus, can do it by living and acting as real Hindus. Namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Abhaya Asthana ji. You're right, like Hindus outside Bharat not only do well in their professions, they are very contributing, productive, harmony, and peace-loving community. Wherever they go, they treat that land as a karma bhumi and just continue to contribute in their land. And you are right, and we Hindus, like especially next generation, has been made to feel ashamed of their own culture because of this portrayal. And whatever suggestions you made as a solution and think we need to seriously think about it. We also find out during question answer session what is the solution we are coming up with. We have to make a network and then keep working on it. Thank you, Ji. Our next speaker is going to be Shri Muneet Dhiman Ji. His topic is Gurukulas for Modern Times, a scalable model of VidyaKshetra. Shri Muneet Dhiman Ji is an educationalist and interested in areas of education, parenting, sustainability, and system design. He is the founder and Kulapati of VidyaKshetra Gurukulam in Bangalore, a non-residential Gurukulam for the current times. His passion is in being with the students, teaching them science, civilizational studies, Itikasas, and Bharatiya Jeevan Drishti. He also heads the Acharya Nirman program for Punarutan Vidyapith, a 5-year teacher training program for the Gurukulam method of education. He holds an engineering degree in computer science from Delhi Technical University and has worked with the IT industry for more than 15 years, holding various management roles, including heading continental Europe for a large R&D service company. Shri Muneet Dhiman Ji.
Namaste. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I thank the organizers of World Hindu Congress and especially Nachiketa Tiwari ji and Anil ji who have been done a phenomenal work. My work has been made, I would say, to some extent easy because of the last session where Soni ji gave a good perspective of Panchakoshas and how important it is for the education, or how important it is for us to relook at the education model itself. Many of us, when we think about Gurukula, please raise your hand, what comes to our mind? First thing which comes to our mind is that it's residential, isn't it? Yes or no? Please raise your hand if it is yes. So most of us feel like. Second thing is that it is a Vedic Gurukulam. Yes? Again, please raise your hand if it is yes. Yes. So this is again a case of narrative which has been formed over last few years, I would say 200 years. A country that had 6 lakh plus educational institutions, as Dharampalji mentions, where few thousands were, Vedic Gurukulas. We had Agraharas, we had Vishay Gurukulams, we had Patashalas, we had Vidyalayas, we had so many different forms of Gurukulas which were day Gurukulams. And none of them exist today because the economic infrastructure of the country was changed. And if economics and education don't go hand in hand, it's a natural conclusion that the education methodology would slowly die. And that's what happened. If we see this slide, this is basically the chitta of a nation, or Rashtra, is defined by the people who are part of that Rashtra. And the chitta is formed by primarily education in the Gurukula or at home. So it's very simple to understand that. These are some of the problems that were listed by Soniji also, that we are seeing, that the current education system is failing us time again and again, again and again, again and again. And we are still continuing with it, sprinkling Bharatiyata here and there, Just little bit, we will add some text of Bharatiyata. We will, do some shloka study here or there. We will bring some Bhagavad Gita shloka, in the morning prayer. But the whole core still continues to be the same education method which has been, resulting in this mess. Whether it is the relationship issues, the social issues that the children are facing, whether it's the spiritual issues, that the environmental issues. So many issues we have been talking about over the last couple of days. And yet, we are not questioning the basic education model. I'm very happy to hear that over the last couple of days, many people have asked, what about the Gurukula education? It's like the dire situation today. This slide, just please focus on the last, on the corner orange part. So VidyaKshetra, over last 12 years, has been working on creating the day Gurukulam model for Bharat. And because when we started 12 years ago, we had no curriculum, no pedagogy, no methodology, and we are very happy that today's national education policy talks about Panchakosha model. And this is the whole framework that we have made when we talk about, what is the curriculum, what is the pedagogy, the assessment framework, the governance framework, the economic framework. And we have integrated the Vyashti, Samashti, Srishti, and Parmeshti, the four-fold framework along with the Panchakosha to build this curriculum and the methodology. Now, what does that mean on the ground is we have currently 24 subjects. I was in Ujjain very recently for Indic Academy conference, and it was so pleasing to see that we are talking about, there is a beautiful exhibition of 14 Vidyas and 64 Kalas over there, what Krishna went through in Ujjain. It's our limitation that we are able to have only 24 subjects, where we have divided them like Vedas are divided into Ichha, Kriya, Jnana. We have Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. The same framework we have used for Ichha, Kriya, Jnana here. So students at VidyaKshetra, they learn 1 hour agriculture every day. We have handlooms at VidyaKshetra. What I'm wearing today is made in VidyaKshetra. And we have yoga, Kalaripaitu, we have pottery. Similarly, we have for Ichha Shakti, tabla, flute, sangeeta, Bharatnatyam, painting, and theater. We have created a curriculum of 250 experiments with Bharatiya Jeevan Drishti. So it's a completely redone curriculum. I will take one example in business maths. Most of us would have studied cost price, selling price, profit loss. So what we do is we first talk about artha and anartha. We talk about need and greed. We talk about value and cost. We talk about intangible and tangible profit and relationships. We talk about the history of artha. Dhan is a very small part of artha. And that is very important to go to a student first. And then we also bring in the elements of cost price, selling price, and a lot of questions around it. So when the foundation is Bharatiya Jeevan Drishti, it's easy for us to lay. Another subtle element I will tell you, what is happening in current education, we have result backward education today. Most of the children are exposed to examinations from very childhood. Even, 5-year-old, 6-year-old are graded. And then they compare, A plus or B or C grade. Now, from childhood, when a student is exposed to a result backward system, it's in contradiction to the Bhagavad Gita principle where we are saying karmanyeva adhikaraste. So where, we are talking about the always being in present, so many books have been written about it. And yet, we don't question our education system. Another thing is about control and Sanyam, Niyantran and Sanyam. Bharatiya Drishti is about Sanyam. That's how, Kumbh Mela, when 10 crore to 15 crore people come and attend, there is not even a single incident because of the Sanyam. Sanyam means self-control. Niyantran means control from outside. So textbooks, we have been questioning umpteen number of times. Why do we need to use them? Why the Guru Shishya Parampara was based on Shruti. There should be a lot of material for Acharyas. And that is where we have to invest, because if we are able to train our teachers, they will bring that knowledge to the children and let them create it along with the students. So that is where we have been focusing on extensively. So the first framework, based on the Panchakoshas, we have created a Vritti model, which is the foundation. Sorry, we have created a foundational model, which is the Vikas model, and the other one is for students from 16 to 21 years. So this is just a short video. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Now, the most important question is, we have created the model over the last 12 years. All these elements are available. There is no reason for anybody to say, how can we do a Gurukula in our country? And we are ready to share it. We are ready to share it. There is no copyright, there is no patent. Because another 30, 40 years, we are gone from here. What do you mean by copyright and patenting, on this? So we have got it from some people. We want to share it freely. Our vision is 5 by 27 and 100 by 100 years of India's independence in our country. There are already engagements going in 5 parts in our country. Pune, I will just move to the next slide. When we replicate any model, there are 4 dimensions to an education system: teaching team, content and model, finance and functioning. The yellow parts is what VidyaKshetra is ready to support with the entire content, with entire models and methodology. The team has to come together, and anybody who is inspired to join, can join the trainings part that VidyaKshetra is offering. Can we move to the next slide? So we have presently, we are working with Bangalore, Mysore, Bikaner, Delhi and Hyderabad. Another Gurukula like this is going to come next year in Bikaner. We have a weekly study circle. We have a monthly outreach program in person. Then we have an annual program which is going on. There is a 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year and 5-year training programs which VidyaKshetra has. 5-year program is going on from last 6 years with Punaruthan Vidyapith, who is a mentoring organization of VidyaKshetra from Karanavati, Ahmedabad. There are more than 75 participants because the core or the crux of Gurukulam is Acharyas. It takes 3 to 4 years, as a preparation time for somebody to start connecting these elements inside. When we say Bharatiya Jivan Drishti, if my koshas are not developed as an Acharya, I cannot work with a student to develop his or her koshas. If my Anandamay Kosh, my Vijnanamay Kosh, my Manomay Kosh are weak, I cannot work with a child to develop his or her Manomay Kosh or Vijnanamay Kosh. It's very simple to understand. So it's about working on myself first. And that preparation requires, good 3 years. Last slide, please. So this is just a quick snapshot. Please make your initial effort very low on capital expenses. Because generally when we think of Gurukula, we talk about, I have a big building, I have a big, place, I have 10 acres, or let's invest. No, invest in the knowledge. Because if you have knowledge and if your effort is pure, the society will support you. We don't charge fees at VidyaKshetra. It has been running from last 8 years completely on Dan, Dakshina and Bhiksha model. Because again, it is important to walk the talk. When we are talking about walking Dharma, how can we sell education? Because it is something which is beyond the 3 gunas. And that is the reason we tried it and it has worked. The society comes forward and supports. So please don't be afraid of coming forward. The need of the hour, as Anand Ranganathanji told in the previous session, is 10 days. It's not 10 years. So I look forward to hearing from many folks that yes, we want to start this journey. And why only in 4 years, 5? Why can't we, make it in 15 years, more than 100 in our country and not wait for 24 years? So that's my request. Last slide, please. So this is the 3 ways we can engage. Please support VidyaKshetra and initiatives like this with Dana, because it has always been society that has supported education. Acharyas should not be worried or focused about, money aspect. That's the last thing which they should be thinking. Please step forward, become an Acharya. I can for sure say that, every one of us sitting over here has done that. In our family life, in our, society life. It's just about, coming forward and structurally understanding the education methodology and the model, and it's possible. And the last but not the least, replicate it in your cities. First, we want to do it in India, but I'm pretty confident it can happen everywhere in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Muneet Dhiman ji. Such a wonderful work and such a good initiative. That could be one of the first actionable point. I think I'll take it as a first actionable point. If anyone is interested, please do contact him. Get more information. If you go back and speak to your team and volunteers or a community to start a Gurukula way of teaching. And quickly, I will also tell you, like we are from Australia. We have got nearly 35 volunteers attending this Congress from Australia. We do Sunday classes. We teach them we call it Vidya Vighar. We made it as a one-stop shop for the parents because they are all very busy, parents very busy. They don't want to teach our scriptures or values from our scriptures to our next generation. And Sundays, they say it's a family time. It's a cool time, just want to have lunch and sleep and be with the family. So we have to make it really interesting so that parents can bring their kids. For them, the kids should be a doctor or an engineer, studies first, sports and music and dance, all that. So Hindu Dharma comes at the end. It's not a priority for them. So we are teaching Sanskrit to read, write, and speak. Then we teach them value from our scriptures. And we also teach them their mother tongue. So it's in English, so everyone will learn Sanskrit. Slokas from morning when they wake up till they go to bed, what are the slokas you need to recite. They'll learn Vedic chanting, and then they will learn values from our scriptures. And they also go to their different classes to learn their mother tongue. And half an hour of sharirik activities to just team building and networking. And we also celebrate 15 to 16 festivals in a year. We teach them why we celebrate our festival, what is the spiritual significance behind the festival, what is the scientific meaning behind each and every rituals which we do, why we do, and what is a prasad made for that particular festival. So children love it, like we have it in many centers. If you are from overseas, if you are happy to start like 2.5 hours weekly for Vidya Vighar classes, please do contact us. I will just open the floor for questions, and if you want any questions, if you have for any speakers, please can ask. Okay. Nachiketa ji is saying like we are running out of time, so just 2 questions.
Muneet ji, my compliments to the work you're doing. Wonderful. This is students come in the morning and go back in the evening. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how many years do they spend at the...
so we have students from 4 years old till 21 year old.
Okay.
We have currently 120 students studying at VidyaKshetra. More than 35 acharyas are there, 18 full-time and 17 part-time acharyas. When I say part-time, the acharyas are like music teachers and subject teachers. But there are 18 full-time acharyas.
And do they also get a formal degree from university or from the...
we don't have any affiliation with any board, but students go along with National Open School at the age of 16 for their 10th grade equivalent exam and for their 12th grade at the age of 19. It's a very small curriculum. What we are teaching, I think, just by learning that, they're able to... So 5 senior most students, we have 2 batches who have already given exam of 10th grade NIOS, and most of them got above 90%.
Excellent. My one last suggestion is if you can put up your contact on this thing so everybody can note down your contact, it'd be useful.
Sorry?
Your contact.
Just your contact.
Yeah, it's there on the slide, but I can share it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Muneet ji, it's wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you.
Just one more question over there.
So you can just search VidyaKshetra, website, form, everything is there. Very active on social media also.
All right. I wanted to ask, so I think all of the speakers demonstrated some of the anti-Hindu narratives that our textbooks and stuff have. So how is a student supposed to react to this immediately? Because they aren't able to bring about change. Change will be brought in the long term, but in the short term, how do they go about to react to that change that their professor has portrayed incorrectly?
So could you please say your question again?
Yeah,
because the microphone is not working, so it wasn't really legible.
What I asked was, how our textbooks tend to have, anti-Hindu narrative sometimes. So is there any way how is a student supposed to, go about and counter this? Because actual change will be brought about by being academians who, in the long term. But how do they go about and react to this change in the short term to their professors?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So there are two things that are being done. So the way the educational system in the US, so the parents, right, they have a lot of influence. And if the child, and there are many cases like this, and very encouraging. So if the child is made aware by the parents, right, that, okay, this distortion or misrepresentation is in that textbook, and the child is courageous enough to raise that issue with the teachers, many times, not all the time, mostly, okay, the teachers will be willing to ask the child to present in the class what is the correct and the proper, okay, the real, okay, story. So what that does is it encourages that child, and you can take that further, and many children have done that. They take it further to bring about a change in the curriculum in that particular school, okay? And that is what actually works. So one by one, the children can make the change in that particular curriculum, and eventually it gets to the superintendent, the education, that region, to make the textbook changes. It's a very complicated process, because see, the publishing house, right, and all the people who are behind the publishing house, and what the curriculum, so at the educational board level, say at the regional level, right, there are so many players you have to influence. And that is a longer term thing. We are working on it, but we tried. We tried in Texas, we tried in Maryland, we tried in California. Even if we get some success in the court, see, ultimately it goes back to the publishing house, and it goes back to the people who are designing the curriculum, right? And they just reinsert all of those things back in some way or form. So it'll take some time, but the awareness is there. What it was in, say, 20, 30 years ago, and what we have today, a lot of awareness is there. So it's going to happen.
Dr. Abhaya Asthana ji, quickly, it's a very good question. As a student, or even as an organization, if something is portrayed either in the textbook or in the newspaper, we know it is wrong, but do we all know what is the right way of presenting it? We don't know the fact. For example, if they talk about the caste, we know it is not right. But what is the right? How do we network? And then immediately, like, you can't leave it for 10 days to respond if to any misinterpretation or a misportrayal. So do we have a network? Okay, what is the right information for that? So we need to have a quick response team for locally. And then can we contact, like, Abhaya Asthana ji, he will have information on this, or the Gurukulam, they can have some information. How do we going to network? Like, people are experts here, but do we know each other what we are doing? Like, if it is something, how do we network? And immediately, because within 24 hours, you have to react to any newspaper recording, portrayal, or in the textbook. How do we network? If you can give us some suggestions, it will be good. Yes.
See, the challenge is not so much at this age. If you're talking about your age, you have multiple choices today. Please junk the textbooks, So you have choices of Indic Academy, you have Brihat, you have Sangam Channel, you have, Vikram Sampatji writing books, textbooks. There are so many people who are coming up with great content. Mathematics and sciences are still reasonable. There is an issue with, the overall sequencing, but the biggest problem we have is with the history and the geography and the and the language, textbooks. That's where the biggest problem, is seeded. So there, my suggestion would be what we adopt is, if it is just for examination purpose, in the end, just study it for the exam purpose. Spend most of your time studying from the Dharmic, the Bharatiya Drishti textbooks, or the books which are umpteen today already available online or in the market.
This is no time.
It's fine.
So we have to go, sorry. So, but you're welcome to speak to the speakers, any speakers, and if you have any doubts, please come and clarify. Thank you so much for attending and hope it was useful. You can come and contact us for any information. Thank you.